Licking County. You know, we're all in a unique place situated in the Central Ohio region, poised for growth, poised for challenges. You add on the increasing challenges which all of you have faced right here. Every community is going through some of these difficult growing conversations. You layer that on top, and we're seeing the costs of housing going. We're seeing the costs of lots of things going up, and a lack of resources to address many of these issues. A household survival in Licking County for a single adult at the end of 2022 required an individual to at least make $14.02 an hour just to pay for those basics. And if you look at those numbers, ask yourself, aren't those still really low if you look at the actual costs of those today? Right, well, that's true.
Are these numbers provided by, or did you guys gather these numbers?
We do. We have an ALICE project. Again, we work on this nationally. We also work on this statewide with every county and every township. And we have a ALICE report that's about this thick that looks at all kinds of data. This is just a one-page snapshot. So I'd encourage you, if you want to know anything and you want to layer it over top of a census tract, we can tell you where your opportunity zones are for health and disparity. If you look, as you know, indicators of health factors based sometimes on zip code can determine if you're going to live 13 years longer than somebody else, just based on where you live and your opportunities. We call those opportunity zones. We're working with the county health department and working on those particular geographical areas. If you look at a family with 2 adults, 1 infant, and 1 preschooler at the end of 22, just to make this survival budget, you'll see it was $41.20. We know that that's different today at the end of almost 2024. We know that that number is going to continue to go up. We have a shortage. So United Way is committed to, again, addressing a healthy not-for-profit ecosystem to help those who need the help the most. We work with Job and Family Services in the county as well, and we just had a Community Partner Council Forum. In your binder, there's a listing. Once a month, we bring together a panel of experts around a topic or an issue that's facing our entire county. We just talked about ALICE, and we had the director for Ohio Means Jobs who was a part of that. We had somebody who was a part of the Rains Realty Group who was a part of that, as well as a not-for-profit executive director who was on that panel. Those videos are available on our website. Feel free to go on there and check that out. We also have a video on ALICE in Licking County that was provided for us. But as Angela Carnahan would say from Job and Family Services, if you are working in one of these demographics, let's say you're in poverty and your boss wants to give you 20 cents more on the dollar raise, you may say, I don't want the raise because then I'm not going to be eligible for assistance. I'm not going to be eligible for some of those supports. So it's that benefits cliff. Our county is doing some unique things. We've got the Benefits to Cliff program that's happening, and we're working with employers and companies to work on financial literacy and those individuals who really are struggling right at that edge. One of the pieces of information that she shared at that forum was, this myth. Well, we just give money out. The old welfare system back, 25, 30 years ago, we had hundreds of thousands of people that may have been receiving money. Those days don't exist any longer. In fact, the entirety of amount of people in this entire county that receives any assistance through Job and Family Services that isn't working, anybody want to guess how many? 7 individuals. 7 individuals for the entire county. So we're working really hard, to get some information out there. ALICE is about working people. It's about teachers. It's about healthcare workers. It's about daycare workers. It's about those people that are a part of the fabric of a healthy economy in every community. We've got some wonderful jobs that are coming our way. We don't need to name those corporations and those businesses. That's exciting. But as we look at that economic ecosystem that's going to fan out, and as things continue to grow, you're also going to need a variety of skill sets and a variety of level of wage earning households. Many of those right now, 37% of those are in the Alice population. We need your help. We need your help. United Way has continued to raise funds that go to not-for-profits, that go to helping us advocate for these issues, that helps us to get more volunteers, that helps us to fund not-for-profits, currently 44 not-for-profits addressing these issues. What's also new with United Way is that we've started some countywide initiatives. Back during COVID, we know that folks were losing jobs. One of the things that we did is we started a hygiene distribution across all of the school districts. We were at every school during COVID passing out hygiene. The kids and the families that are living in Alice go to the grocery store, and in that line, they struggle paying for groceries. But that other high-ticket item is things like laundry detergent, feminine hygiene, soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, deodorant. So we've now started a hygiene hub. We are now in 4 school districts. We started with the highest Alice school districts, and you can look at your form and see which ones those are. And then we look to expand across the county because you have Alice, we have folks in every community that's struggling with some of those costs. And we don't want hygiene to be a deterrent for children and youth to go to school and to get an education and to take care of their well-being. So that's a wonderful opportunity. If an organization like the city here doesn't want to do a workplace campaign, you might want to consider doing a hygiene drive, and then those hygiene items will be distributed out to the schools. Another thing we're doing, we want to build capacity for our not-for-profits, not just provide dollars, but we're looking for volunteers. So last week we just completed our week of caring. We had over 240 volunteers in over 30 different projects across the county, and we have launched a volunteer hub for the entire county. If you're not-for-profit or organization or city or some group that you work with has a need, and you're needing people to roll up their sleeves, get a little sweat equity work, maybe you've got high school students who need to earn service hours, send them our way. On the other hand, we've got people that want to volunteer, so we want to be that bridge so that we can link volunteers with organizations so that we can build capacity and help those organizations get some of those projects done. It could be anything from building a ramp, it could be from painting. One time we painted all the fire hydrants in Utica, you know. You've got some road, I can't go fix the pipes, I don't know that. But I will tell you, we've got some great people. We had a bunch of engineers from Owens Science and Tech that got together and built some ramps for some seniors. So there's a lot that we can do. Let us know if you need some help in your community. And then finally, we've got a new project going on with Generator. We've recently been the recipient of some grants from Microsoft, and we are offering a federally recognized certificate program in project management, tuition free. So think about those single moms. We just had one successful cohort. We've got a second one going. We're filling a third one. You know, a single mom who doesn't have the time to go back to a traditional school setting but needs to upskill. We're going to link employers with employees who want to get some upskilling and look for those certificate programs and provide training. This project management certificate will be federally recognized, and we're going to pay also for the exam fee, which is typically $300. So providing opportunities for some folks who may not be able to have those upskilling opportunities in our community. So those are some of the things that United Way is doing. I would love your support, again, to support our county and all of the wonderful things that are happening. We also need to support the least of these. I'd encourage you to donate. Consider doing a workplace campaign. Other cities and communities do these. It's really easy. I can tell you how to do it, or you might do one collection, or you might want to give individually. We need your support. So thanks. I'd answer any questions you've got.
The project management program is this one right here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. we're partnering with a group called Generator. And we had really good success. We're following these graduates, and they're helping them then get into the job. They're helping them with the resume and working with those employers who need more employees.
It's a great program. Does anybody have any questions for us? Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Feel free to reach out anytime. We are your United Way here in Johnstown, too.
Thank you. Thank you. We were all sent the minutes for September 3rd, 2024. Thank you, Ms. Monroe, for getting those out to us. Does anyone have any questions or comments on those minutes from September 3rd?
Motion to approve is written.
Second.
Bob Orsini.
Yes.
Dave Seeland.
Yes.
Ryan Green.
Yes.
Tiffany Hollis.
Yes.
Mayor Barnard.
Yes.
Yes.
Jeff Clark.
I think I need to abstain. I was absent.
Citizen comments and matters not on the agenda. Ms. Monroe, do you have anybody?
One turned in any slips, so.
Does anybody like to speak tonight? Mr. Koppel?
Just real quick, guys, we saw my resignation from the zoning team. I appreciate you guys' confidence and appointing me to the NCA, and I'm really excited about that opportunity. So I wanted to thank you guys for that. I feel like I don't need to be on every board. I think there's got a lot of citizens in town that want to get involved, and I think the zoning board is a great place for people that are interested in being future leaders to kind of get their feet wet. So, you know, I think that it's appropriate to let some other people get involved, and hopefully I think that we have some good applicants. So I just wanted to thank you guys and just give a quick comment. So.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time for all the years on there. Anybody else? Okay. Council committee reports. Planning and zoning meeting was canceled. Their next one is October 8th at 6:30 in council chambers. Design review board. Theirs was also canceled. Their next meeting is October 8th at 5 p.m. in council chambers. Finance met tonight. We're meeting again on the 15th. The time has changed to 4:30 on that. We're going to be working on the budget that night, so anybody who would like to come make input on the budget, please come. We met tonight. One of the items is being moved to executive session, and I think that's all to report on that meeting. Safety and service met tonight. Mr. Green, do you have anything from that one?
Had a great meeting, ranging on topics from snow removal to stormwater mitigation and traffic lights. You'll also see an ordinance coming up later on that we talked about here.
Okay. Tree Commission, they met on September 19th. Ms. Hollis, is there anything to report on that one? Or Teresa?
Yeah, you were going to talk about the desire of the tree on the Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah.
See if that was something everybody wanted to bring up.
I gotta find my notes, I'm sorry.
Okay, while she's looking for that,
Yeah,
we'll
go
move.
ahead, move past
We'll
me.
move to Township Liaison Committee. You guys met on the 26th. Who's the chairman? Did you guys pick a chairman?
We did not.
Not officially, no.
Would someone like to speak on that one while Ms. Hollis is looking?
Sure. Let me pull it up. We had a really good meeting, and we discussed, find it here. We discussed the amount of townships that we're looking at. We have about nine townships that we're looking at in a bullseye area in and around Monroe Township, including Monroe Township. We published the list out. The members, Wes, Tiffany, and I, we're starting to parse out which townships we're going to undertake as an individual effort between the three of us. So we'll each essentially be assigned 3 townships to be reaching out to. Basically a cup of coffee, a lunch and learn type deal, just to understand their problems, their concerns, their challenges, their victories, and kind of use that as then a meeting point between the 3 of us to discuss those, and then realize if there are some townships that are facing some challenges that have been wins for other townships, to see if there's any commonalities in the way that some townships and or the municipalities within those townships, but focusing with those conversations with the township trustees, not the municipalities, and to see if there are any best practices that can be shared amongst each other to, again, to avoid reinventing the wheel should a township have had a big win, or if they're struggling with something, to point them in the direction to say, hey, another township has been working on that, and they might have some ways to kind of cut the corners to get to a quicker or better solution, or to even possibly share a win or share what might not have worked so well to avoid some pitfalls.
Awesome. Thank you. Ms. Hollis, on the tree commission?
Okay, so we discussed October 18th digging for the trees to be planted, right? And then actually being planted on October 19th at Hannah's Park. And I believe, is it one tree going to the intermediate school or to the elementary school?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's for the Memorial Tree Fund.
For the memorial tree. And then we also talked about there are dead trees of the ivory silk lilacs, and Ryan volunteered to dig those up, thank you. What else did we talk about? There was one thing we needed to bring up, I think Charlie asked about tree trimming. Is there an ordinance and zoning for tree trimming on sidewalks where it obstructs the pathway? So we probably need to get an answer on that and take that back to tree commission.
There is.
Is there?
I don't know if we have it on our books, but for street trees, it's so emergency vehicles can get through. They have to be trimmed to allow for a certain height over streets, and then a particular height on sidewalks for
Pedestrians.
Pedestrians, thank you.
And then the other thing we discussed was putting in a permanent tree on the square for a Christmas tree. So we were looking at options for that also. Won't probably happen for this Christmas, but we are looking at that for next year. That's about it.
How big of a tree are they looking at for the square?
Well, you know me.
As big as you can?
As big as we can get.
The one we light up right now?
We put that in every year.
It's a tree they cut down, put in, and
We do cut down a tree, but it's a tree that was going to be cut down anyways, that, you know, a lot of them have come from, houses that are being demolished or, from some of the development sites, things like that, so we don't just cut down.
last year was from the
tree.
Intel site, wasn't it? Or was it,
Last year's was from,
it was one of the
That was
two?
from
Will
the tree farm.
Carter's, yeah, it's a tree farm, but they
Okay.
were replanting an entire field and this big tree was in the way, so, we lucked out on that one, it was beautiful.
Yes.
And it was in, memory of Mike Furr, so it just worked out perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, does council need to do anything to approve that or move forward with
I
that
don't think
tree?
so, it'll be on township property, so, we'll probably just look for input on the type of tree and just make sure everybody's on board with it. There may be, I know, you know, we discussed before about the it's just this weird
Yes.
layout. So, with electric and things like that, so we'll just make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Okay.
I had a quick question about that.
Yeah.
I heard you say something about digging holes for trees one day.
Oh, yeah, hey, Jack.
No, I've already been in contact with Mike.
Okay.
Well, best that I know about it, to make sure, because we have people gone vacationing and stuff, so.
Well, I emailed him directly after
gonna show
the
them start
meeting.
ripping them up,
I
man.
asked if they would be able to pick up the 3 trees from Acorn Farms on the.
17th probably, or that week
We're gonna do
of.
the ceremony on the tree
Then-
planting ceremony on Saturday, the 19th. So I was asking if they would be available to pick up the trees from Acorn Farms on the 18th.
So the holes that are
And then-
dug, is the spot been chosen? Do they know where it's at? Do they know
Yeah.
size of
Andy
ball to
Brady
go in?
is
yeah.
going to mark for them where he wants the holes. And I think he was gonna get with you, Dave. on
I already
the
sent it to
school
him.
one. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Dave, just give me the
Yep.
information so I can make sure the schedule is done. It doesn't conflict with other work we had laid out.
Yep. I'm responsible for one of those trees. We'll get with the rest of the tree commission on the
Yeah,
other.
I'm just saying, the spot.
Yeah.
The size, and, because I didn't know anything about this, so the conflict with other work I had laid out, I need to mesh it.
Deconflict.
Okay. Anything else? Awesome, thank you. Director reports, received reports from the service departments of water, sewer, and street, and also the service director reports. Does anyone have any questions on the water, sewer, or street reports? Hearing none, Jack, would you like to go over your report?
Yes, I'll just cover the highlights real quick that I think are important here. Item number 3, the Pulte Housing Project. We've had our punch list and lift station check for that entire development. Spoke with Jim Davidson yesterday, and I believe at the next meeting, they're gonna have all the punch lists done, and they will be requesting the council accept that development in its entirety. One thing that has come up, we did get the detention basins, excuse me, those are, yes, detention basins, worked out who's supposed to maintain and take care of those. There has been no legislation found that said that their HOA will have to pay for the lights and the use of the lights. So I know that was the discussion back with, and Teresa and I have talked about this with Jim Leonard, Jim Blair, but we can find no documents. They say they have no documents, so I'm just making you aware that once we accept this project, that those electric bills will be coming to the city unless somebody has, I'm looking at you, Sean, has a thought, but there's no way, but I think we can force them to pay it since it's not in the development agreement anywhere.
Yeah, that predates myself, so I don't have any background on it. There's no developers agreement. We could flip over to Pulte to say, hey, this is an obligation that you have agreed to. I don't know that we have any recourse to move forward on that.
You said it's not in the developers agreement.
Could not find it. I know it was discussed, again, and Teresa reached out to Jim Blair and Jim Leonard, and they said, yep, it was discussed, it was supposed to be in there, but we can't find any signed document saying it's in there. We did find the maintenance of the retention and detention ponds. It's in there and it's very clear, and they've now agreed the HOA will have to maintain those, but
Okay.
the lights, I just want to make you aware, because we've talked about this a couple times, will be turned over to the city at that time, which is normal.
But we're making steps forward that HOAs will take care of
The
them.
HOAs will take
Yes.
care of lights, yes.
And that's the different make and model of those lights too. Right?
Now,
A different make and model of those lights as well too, so that kind of throws another
yeah,
twist into your inventory.
oh yeah, we have nothing that looks like what you got, so we're gonna have to take a look at that. But again, I wanted to make you aware, I thought that was important, because all along, the discussion has been those lights will be covered by HOA. They're not going to be, and I assume that bill will be turned over very sooner than later. Then I want to drop down to item 6, it's just source water assessment. We're still working with the ORWA for source water protection. That's just our well fields, making sure they're not under the influence of old gas lines or spills, chemical spills that could, as we draw water, pull contaminants into our well field. So that's a document we need to have for the EPA, and we're just beefing that up with the ORWA. Just as an update, the high service pump, number 2, as you know, number 1 went down, it's fixed, it's in, number 2 is still out for repair. Item number 8, just again, keeping you updated on the leak detection equipment. As I told you, the last area we checked, we found 3 additional leaks. 2 of those 3 have been taken care of. The 3rd one is still out there, it's on the customer side, but we're working with them to get a schedule. And if everything stays on pace, and I believe it will, by the end of the year, we will have surveyed the entire town for leaks. Then probably starting next April, we'll start it all over again. And we can run a survey, so very useful piece of equipment. Item 10, mainline valve turning will start this month. And item 11 is information for you, our wells. We've been hearing many communities, their wells, their levels are going way down. Some shallow wells have dried up. Our monitoring on our wells, we due to the drought, we are down a couple feet, but we are not in any jeopardy at all because we have such a deep pumping level compared to where the static level is. So even though our static level is down a couple feet compared to last year, we're not in danger of any shortage of water or pumping situation.
So on that item there, I asked Jack, I read in the paper about another water district that is looking at rationing water or going to different plans. You can water on different days here in our county. So I asked Jack, what is the status of our wells? He got the information within just a couple days to indicate, based on the engineers, where our water level is. And it looks like we've actually hit lower spots in years past.
Oh, yeah, in the
So-
past. So we're actually in, like I said, over a year's span, we're down a couple feet, but we have, our wells are 380 feet deep. So it's not in any crisis mode at this time. They are monitored monthly. So we check that static level and pumping level every month, just for your information.
And another item about that leak detection, if we go back and we look at the water levels, back in the water report, it looks like we're saving 2 to 3 million gallons of water now, based on where our water levels were 2 to 3 years ago.
Well, as I stated back when we fixed those 2 major leaks that were in people's backyards, you know, because it was hitting tile, we'd have never seen them without the leak detection equipment. We pump 700 gallons a minute, and we pump roughly 12 to 14 hours a day. We've cut 2 hours off of our daily pumping. So this leak detection equipment has been wonderful. And so now we're picking up the small leaks, you know, not the big ones. We're continuing to tighten the system, so.
So we're saving thousands of dollars just, I mean, this equipment wasn't that expensive for what we're finding and fixing.
Yeah, what we got with the last grant that I've got through the EPA, we have about $12,000 to $13,000 worth of these correlators, which are listening at night to see if they can find leaks. And then the elephant's foot, I think, was $5,000 or $6,000 to pinpoint that leak. So less than $20,000, we'll have this equipment forever. And it's made a huge difference on our pumping hours. That's not just the water. That's savings in chemical, that's saving in hours, pumping for labor, you know, so it's been really good.
Huge.
How common is this equipment in practice amongst other municipalities?
Very.
Well, you know, I've been here a long time. You go back 20 years, water was cheap. It cost more to fix a lot of leaks than it did to actually just let it run.
Yeah.
But over the last 10 to 15 years, it's become a point of emphasis with the EPA. So when they do your plant inspections, they ask you about leak detection, tightening up your system, where you're at percentage-wise of loss. And so it's becoming a rather common piece of equipment.
Good.
Very common.
Awesome. Thank you.
On that note, whether you do or do not believe in global warming and everything else, we certainly see that we've had historic drought here. You know, I think we should consider water-saving measures. I mean, not a lot of people have irrigated lawns, but anything that we can do to conserve water, regardless of drought or non-drought, is something we should at least be taking a look at. Thinking ahead, not just for ourselves, but our children, generations to come. I am of the opinion water will become more costly than a gallon of gas one day. But that's spending 20 years in South Florida where irrigation, golf courses, etc., they have taken measures to restrict water use, specifically with irrigation, decades ago. But that's my opinion of water conservation in general. We should be taking every measure to ensure that vital utility is here for all.
Anybody else for Chuck?
I do. I have 2 things. One, simple, light at Oregon and 37. Who controls the timing of crossing 37? Is that do we control that timing?
Yes, we do.
I have not done this myself, so I'm just asking for information.
Let me start in Oregon.
Oregon, so in front of the old fire station, crossing like
62.
towards.
Oregon at 62.
62, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
across there from us.
Sorry,
Yeah.
crossing towards Park National
Okay.
Bank. So obviously during rush hour in the mornings, it would make sense that it would stay, 37 would stay going. Or 62, gosh, sorry. 62 would stay going. During school drop off, people crossing town, that light is like lasting forever, like 12 days during the daytime. So, I don't know if it changes at different times of the day or if it stays.
No, it's
a lot.
trying to work, it's trying to work as best it can.
Okay.
With the light at 62 and 37,
Gotcha.
to move people down 62. Both those lights are geared to move people down State Route
62.
62, yeah.
Okay. And then my other question,
Well, as we did talk about this in safety and service today, and there are a couple factors that can kind of knock that light out of whack. From what it's, pedestrian crossing is one of them. If
it was a
people are
hot
moving,
topic at the diner on Saturday
if
morning.
people aren't
so that's why I'm
following
asking.
the flow of traffic, if the flow of traffic is interrupted, it can change things, so.
Well, yeah, because whenever that pedestrian crossing button is pushed, that recycles account for people to get across. So.
Which that's a good point. I will let people know that. The other thing, and Sean, you may want to interrupt me on this one. We met with, I don't know, are we calling that a committee? The meeting with Southwest Licking, Granville, Alexandria,
Yeah, I'm not
and
sure.
us.
Our delegation.
It's the delegation,
Okay. Our delegation.
the envoy.
Met with the officials from those entities, and it was discussed to have you, CJ from Southwest Licking, and the representative from Granville get together. Has that happened yet, or has that been set up?
CJ Gilchrist just called me earlier this week.
Okay.
Well, actually, he sent me a text asking for times in the next 2 weeks for the three of us to get together. I gave him some dates. Said I could be as flexible as I could be. I think we're still waiting on Matt to weigh in from Granville.
Okay,
And so we kind of got a three-phase thing. First, we're gonna have a teams meeting, just discuss with each other who we are, what we're
Good.
doing. And then we are going to schedule a day of plant facilities. We're gonna look at their facilities, what they have. They'll come look at ours. We'll discuss our expansion plans. And then third phase of that is on a common sense approach, who can take care of what areas.
right, okay.
Now, we've already discussed working the political end of this out, just what makes sense for Johnstown to cover
Nuts and
this
bolts.
area.
Yeah,
This makes sense for Granville to cover this area, and this makes sense for Southwest Licking to cover that area. Now, that was his conversation with me. Sean actually came to me this afternoon at middle of the day at work and brought this up. And I said, well, CJ had already called me, and so, yes, the meetings have not happened, but
and you're open to participating and.
I think I should be
Yes.
participating in anything that deals with water and sewer for the city, because then when I'm asked questions, I'm up to date on the meetings,
Yeah.
what's being talked about.
No, I think as a whole, the delegation, and if I'm over speaking, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. When we talk about it, it's hypotheticals and maybes and could we do this, but having the guys that actually do it, it's the perspective we need.
No,
And I think that's
it's-
how we move forward together to
I think
come
that's
to a
a good
collaborative solution. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. That's all I have.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Moving on to council decision on zoning map amendment, that is still tabled, correct, Mr. Monroe? Okay. I make a motion that we move to executive session to consider the appointment of a public official to include all 7 council members and then the applicant when we were ready. And we'll go to next door.
Second, there you go.
Are we coming back in here
Yes.
to resume regular meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And then we're going to go into an executive session again?
At the very, very end.
2 more.
Okay.
Mayor Barnard,
Yes.
Wes Cobble,
Yes.
Jeff Barr,
Yes.
Bob Orsini,
Yes.
J.C. Lynn,
Yes.
Ryan Green.
Yes.
Tiffany Hollis.
Yes.